Hello! Welcome to the Free Bin, the Toledo, Oregon Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Denise.
And we're going to talk to you about something very, very old today. This is going to be a topical episode. Not so much. We've been doing a lot of good readers advisory stuff recently. We do have some books to recommend to you, but we're going to be talking about a document.
Yes.
Today, and I think we're going to have fun.
It's going to be interesting.
How are you doing, Denise?
I'm doing great. It's Friday.
It is Friday.
Woo, woo.
Tomorrow is Saturday.
Saturday is Harrison's Friday.
It is my Friday. I like my Saturday.
Yeah.
What do we got for announcements?
Oh, well, let's see. So we just finished a very busy week. We had a great time on Wednesday when the Trailblazers, Rip City, came to town.
Yeah, that was great.
That was so awesome. And it was such a great turnout. And we handed out lots and lots of tickets. We had, and we still have, tickets to upcoming Trailblazer games that any youth who participated in the summer reading program, they have earned this ticket.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is. And then it's not for adults, but the Trailblazers do have the accompanying ticket for $6. So
yeah, and I was surprised by how affordable a Trailblazers ticket is.
Yes, and this is a special deal for us readers. So thank you, Trailblazers. What a great deal.
Yeah, read those books.
And let's see. So, we're coming up next week is Banned Book Week.
Yes.
Gosh, it feels like it was just, I can't believe it's been a whole year.
I know.
We have a couple cool displays in the planning and the makings. Be sure and swing by the library next week and check those out. And let's see, looking ahead, I do have some exciting things coming up in October. We're going to have a Halloween-themed puppet show. Which is always a big hit around here. And everyone is encouraged to come in costume.
Yes.
Do you know what you want to be for Halloween yet?
Yeah, maybe something. I know we have something planned for work.
We do.
But I'm not going to reveal what
a couple ideas up my sleeve.
But as for outside of work, I don't know.
I know. I always like to be something unique. It's fun. And we also have the puppet show is on Friday, October 18th at 4:00. And then the following week on Saturday, the 26th, we will be making masks, which is perfect timing for Halloween. So that'll be kind of a drop-in program. People can come by and make a mask with us. So a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Cool. All right. Do we want to do our beverage?
We do. I'm just checking this out. It's really kind of edgy looking can here.
It is.
Ooh,
it's intense.
It's like a knight on the front here.
Yeah, it's a very angular, kind of helmet looking thing. This is Rain Total Body Fuel energy drink.
Look at the flavor.
The flavor is white gummy bear.
Oh, now that's interesting because when I think of the white gummy bear, I mean, it could be all sorts of things. Could be grapefruit. Yeah. Could be coconut.
I don't know if I've ever seen a white gummy bear.
I'm trying to think of the white flavors. Grapefruit, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking pina colada or coconut.
Yeah, maybe
like
so.
You were. Yeah, that's where my brain goes to also.
All right.
So I don't know what it's going to be. I grabbed this one because it is such an ambiguous flavor. Could be.
Ooh,
could be that.
So good. The icons on the side tell us that we're about to get some increased concentration. We need to quickly down this whole thing so that our podcast makes sense. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'm sure the scientists at Rain Energy Drinks have done numerous peer-reviewed studies on
All right,
this.
It's nice and bubbly. Here we go.
What is that?
They should replace white gummy bear with heavy sugar.
Oh, yeah,
It's that really intensely sugary, but artificially sugary.
It is. It does have a little bit of that tropical something.
It's only 10 calories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
It is. It's quenching my thirst. I always like to get some electrolytes. So.
It said I didn't know what the flavor of a white gummy bear would be, and I still don't.
Oh, look at here. Beneath the icons, recommended for persons 18 years or older. Then why do they call it white gummy bear? Come on.
Yeah.
False advertising. That's going to attract kids.
Yeah, that's That's really something.
All right.
Okay. Should we get into our topic?
We should. I'm very interested in hearing about this.
So our topic of the day is the complaint tablet of ea-nasir. And this, I'm sure a lot of our folks are aware of this. It's been kind of a going, like, recurring joke on the internet for a good long while now. It's a tablet, as you might have guessed, that is a complaint to and about a copper merchant named ea-nasir. And this dates to about 1750 BC. And it's this story takes place in the city of Ur, which is was in southern Iraq, and it concerns copper dealings between Ur and which was in Sumer, and Dilmun, which was the civilization to the south on the Persian Gulf.
Okay.
So ea-nasir was a guy he was a big deal copper dealer, and he was doing business between Ur and Dilmun. He was part of the Alik Dilmun, which was like a trade guild of merchants who traveled to and from Dilmun to buy and sell.
So was he like he mined copper, or
he was he just sold. He bought and sold.
Okay.
So what this is it's correspondence, and there's more than just this one tablet. I want to touch on some of the others, concerning delays and debts and that sort of thing. And it was discovered during a joint expedition of the British Museum and the University of Pennsylvania. And that excavation took place between 1922 and 1934. And they found this guy's house.
Oh.
The remnants of this guy's house. And he had these documents.
And this tablet was in the house?
Yeah, there was clay tablets written in cuneiform. And he had just had them in his house when...
How big were these tablets? Are we talking like the size of a piece of paper? No, had to be bigger.
Let me look up. I'm always surprised. Like, some of these things were smaller than I imagine.
Because is this type of thing where you're like having to, chip away at it to create the different numerals and different icons?
You're pressing in when it's soft with a stylus, with a standard shape.
Okay.
So cuneiform... the stylus had its little kind of conical shaped tip.
Okay.
And all of the characters were formed by different impressions of that stylus.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Let me look up here to get that
So it didn't have to be giant.
Yeah. Let me take a look real quick just to confirm, because that's a good question. I got our answers. So this complaint tablet measures 11.6 centimeters high and 5 centimeters wide.
Oh,
it's not very big.
No, it's much smaller than I pictured in my head originally.
Yeah, I think if you're like me, you picture like the 10 Commandments movie style tablet.
Those are big, giant.
But these things could be, pretty small and portable.
Right.
And there's a photograph of it right there, so you can see this is it.
Oh.
The source that I'm pulling the translation from here is W.F. Leemans. This is from 1960. The book is called Foreign Trade in the Old Babylonian Period as Revealed by Texts from Southern Mesopotamia. You can get this on archive.org. It's a book you can borrow. You just sign in, create an account, and it doesn't cost anything through the Internet Archive, and you can borrow this book and read all of that stuff if you're into it. So it's got the translations on there. So the translation I'm going to be giving is different from the one a little bit that makes the rounds on the internet. And you can find more context, including all the interesting and informative, boring stuff, like all the ledgers of accounts and all that.
And once you get into archive.org, set aside a whole day. I mean, there's so many cool things to look into and look at and read about.
Yeah.
You won't be sorry.
Oh man, that's going to be in your, it'll be in your favorites, bookmarks.
Yes.
Make it part of your daily browsing. All right. So the context, as I understand it from Leeman, is ea-nasir had taken payment from other merchants possibly, it looks like from the government, to go down to Dilmun, buy copper, good quality copper, and bring it back. He spent longer than was planned down there. And so you had a situation where payments were late. The folks who were owed this copper to third parties were making partial deposit, what you would expect if there's a supply chain interruption there. So I am going to read to you now the complaint tablet itself, UET V81. Speak to ea-nasir. Thus says Nanni. Now, when you had come, you spoke, saying thus, quote, I will give good ingots to Gimel Sin, end quote. This you said to me when you had come, but you have not done it. You have offered bad ingots to my messenger, saying, quote, if you will take it, take it. If you will not take it, go away, end quote. Who am I that you are treating me in this manner? Treat me with such contempt, and that between gentlemen such as we are. I have written to you to receive my purse, but you have neglected it repeatedly. You have made them return to me empty-handed through foreign country. Who is there amongst the Dilmun traders who has acted against me in this way? You have treated my messenger with contempt. And further, with regard to the silver that you have taken with you from my house, you make this discussion. And on your behalf, I gave 18 talents of copper to the palace. And Sumi-Abum gave, likewise, 18 talents of copper. Apart from the fact that we issued the sealed document to the temple of Shamash, with regard to that copper, as you have treated me, you have held back my purse in a foreign territory, although you are obliged to hand it over to me intact. That here in Ur, I will not accept from you copper that is not good. You will learn. In my court, I will choose and take one by one. Because you have treated me with contempt, I shall exercise against you my right of selecting. That's the end of the tablet. It's an angry customer.
Wow. I feel like I could open up Google and find this on any Amazon bad review.
Yeah, and that's kind of the heart of why it became an internet meme years ago and still is it is so familiar. When people get angry, they sound like angry people, but rarely do we get documents this old that record those sorts of interactions.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So there can be this tendency when the only thing that really makes it to the history books a lot of times is, wars, royalty, big historic generalizable things.
Which sometimes it's hard to relate to as a person. You think, oh, well, that's because they were, important. They were a president. They were a whatever. This sounds like your average Joe.
Yeah.
Angry.
And it makes things like this really special because people, as long as there have been people have been people. And
yes.
We just don't, because we don't usually get to hear the voices of regular people like ourselves back then.
Right.
We can mistake just humanity for modernity. Like people have not always been this way for as long as we've been the creatures we are. But I love seeing this stuff.
As you were reading it, I was trying, because we're looking at a document, and on the left, it is written in the cuneiform.
Yeah. So that's like the transliteration, whatever that is. And I need to look more into this of how we know the pronunciation of, or guess at it. Yeah.
But I mean, wow, that is quite elaborate. That language.
Mm-hmm.
Do people still study that? I'm sure they do.
Yeah. And I'm always curious if they're, like how fluent someone who studies this language can be in reading cuneiform. And I imagine there's some folks out there. I mean, if that's what your PhD is in, I imagine.
Right. Use it or lose it.
So I wanted to go a little deeper though, because Nanni, the writer of this letter, is not the only person that ea-nasir made angry. So I'm going to read a little bit more.
Pile on ea-nasir here.
We're going to pile on ea-nasir.
Now, get your hands off me.
All right. Here is the tablet UETV 6. Speak to ea-nasir. Thus says Arbiteram. There are some missing lines here, and there's a note that it's starting at line 7 through 8, so we don't know what started this. So I'm starting at line 7 of this tablet.
Use your imagination.
And you have given the copper to your Umianum, and the silver and its profit give it to Niganana. To me, I have made you issue a tablet. Why have you not given the copper? If you do not give it, I will bring in your pledges. Good copper, give again and again. Send me a man. All right, here's another tablet, UETV 7, also found in ea-nasir's house. Speak to ea-nasir. Thus says Arbiteram, why have you not given the copper to Niganana? Moreover, 5 years, thus says Iliadanam, the copper that Niganana has received is mine. End quote. Be kind enough to give the copper as much as he has a claim on you to Niganana. The work you have done is good. Of the copper, and then there's another broken line here, and 20 kur of sesame oil, the copper, give it to Niganana. All right, UETV 23. I'm going to do one more here. Speak to ea-nasir. Thus says Imgursin, may Shamash bless your life. Give good copper under seal to Niganana. Now you have had me issue 10 shekels of silver. In order that your heart shall not be troubled, give good copper to him. Do you not know how tired I am? And when you arrive with Ilsurabi, take it away and give it to Niganana. I'm going to stop there. There's more. There are more letters.
Niganana is a person, right?
Yeah. So Niganana, it's unclear exactly what his position is. There's more in the book that I'm taking this translation from. But I mean, he was a middleman, basically.
Okay.
And I feel bad for Niganana because he comes up a lot. A lot of this is just clearly stuff that has been bounced back and forth, not an inconsiderable distance that Niganana is probably traveling, figuring things out. Like, I don't know how many people are involved in all these transactions, but he is got to be the most frustrated person in here. He's representing one party, the other is not paying up, and he's kind
of in hot water, but it's not his fault.
Yeah, he's like, nah. He said, yeah. so he's the one I identify with in this.
I was kind of picturing all this in my head as it was going on. I felt like it was a little cartoon running through my head. But to think, I mean, how long ago this was occurring.
Yeah.
This could be modern day.
Everyday life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's more in this. Like if you're interested in the economy of the time, there's a lot of stuff in this Leeman book. It's pretty cool.
It's interesting. And just like you said, what is so interesting is that this is a dialogue of just the everyday person. We're not reading about the kings and the queens. And this really hits home that people haven't changed all that much in, eons, right? We're not talking 100 years here.
Mm-hmm. And it does put in my head the image of what does it look like to angrily punch a cuneiform tablet. Like, it's got to be satisfying. Like, you can type angry, like you can hit the keys really hard.
Oh yes.
But when you're holding a stylus, like you're holding a little kind of a stabby thing, and you've got your piece of wet clay in front of you.
Wonder if certain characters are deeper than the other.
How dare you? It's like punched all the way through. If you can see light through,
you will learn. Pound.
You will take it to my yard. Yeah.
Wow.
And And I need to dig deeper into this, but I did hear, we want something like an ending to this story, that the dwelling in which these tablets were found, assuming this was ea-nasir's house, it was not a particularly glamorous residence. Considering how much business he was doing, this was not like a big old mansion he was living in, which may be interpreted to mean his business did not do so well after a while.
There's all those bad reviews.
Yeah, but he kept all the bad reviews. If this was his house, he just kept them all in a corner, which is a whole other bunch of questions there.
So are these all on display in a museum, or?
I believe the British Museum has these.
Wow.
I don't know what the status of like repatriation and stuff like this is. So there we go. What thoughts?
A story from long ago. I mean, I just find it so fascinating to hear the common person's voice come through. I never get to hear it, really, that I can think of.
And I also think about like, what are we going to leave? I mean, if most of our writing is not punched into clay, most of our writing is digital now or on paper. Paper holds up pretty well if you work at it. But will we leave as much of a footprint as the folks in Sumer? Because there's a bunch left from these civilizations that wrote on sturdy media. And I don't know how well, without the work that folks like the Internet Archive are doing, which takes a lot of upkeep, a lot of constant work to keep digital stuff preserved. Will our complaints still be there in a few thousand years?
Yes. Will someone in 1,000 years come upon our podcast and have a whole conversation like, why were they wasting their time doing this? Or will they think, oh, those two are pretty cool?
Well, we can only hope.
Yes.
I'm punching a complaint into a piece of clay right now.
I'm trying to think if I've ever, have you ever written a complaint on like Yelp or any of those things?
I've never written a bad Yelp
I haven't either.
review that I recall. If something is wrong, I usually contact the person or the entity directly to ask what's going on generally.
Right.
Because it just seems like,
I feel like simply writing an angry review on Yelp is more of a, I'm mad, I want to get this off my chest, versus I want to fix this problem. I'm more of a fixer. Like, let me call you and let's have a conversation and see if we can fix it.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing is this would seem, in ea-nasir's case, this was direct correspondence to ea-nasir.
Right.
So it was never intended
No.
necessarily to be public. Although there is mention in Leemans' book about, generating a record like this was a good way of tracking a grievance. So I think they were kind of creating a, not paper trail, clay trail, to back up their complaints if they needed to like sue or whatever the Sumerian equivalent of a
Well, and
modern
especially
lawsuit
it does
would be.
seem in this case that there was a history here. It wasn't a one-time complaint.
Yeah, they didn't do the formal, polite introduction to a letter all the time. That's something that's mentioned. Like a lot of times you'd start it with,
Give me
Shamash,
my copper.
bless you, and your stuff. But a lot of it is like, tell ea-nasir this, which is kind of indicates frustration in and of itself.
Right, yeah. It had reached a certain level of frustration by the time it was being put on the tablets.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So do we want to tie some book recommendations into this?
I'll let you go first because mine are a very loose tie-in. So,
well, yours do tie in. So I'm going to start with maybe an obvious one. This is the Oxford World's Classics collection of myths from Mesopotamia, Creation, the Flood, Gilgamesh, and others. A new translation by Stephanie Dalley.
What's the copyright on that?
This was reissued 2008.
Okay, all right.
If any of y'all haven't read Gilgamesh, it's a fun story. It's good.
Yeah,
it holds up.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do one, or do you want me to do?
Well, okay. So I'll my my tie-in is more of just when Harrison was talking about that he was going to be reading the translated version of the complaint. What I thought of in the children's section, I have recently acquired Vox books for our collection, and Vox books are recorded books for children, and they're wonderful for many reasons. Children love the repetition of hearing stories over and over again, and sometimes by the 10th reading, parents might be like, let's read a different book. But the nice thing about a Vox book is the book will read to the child. And then among the Vox books, I have several books that are bilingual, and they do such a nice job of having both the English. I have English and Spanish. I have English and Chinese. I have English and French over there. So I brought in a couple books. I brought in Waiting for the Biblioburro, and I'm going to let Harris read that title in Spanish for you.
Let's take a look. Esperando el Biblioburro. I have trouble with the R's.
No, that sounded really good. So this is by Monica Brown, and I've had patrons come and tell me how much they appreciate these books. This one in particular has gotten a lot of love. People really enjoy that book. And then I also brought Carly Only Eats Carbs, written in traditional Chinese, Pinyin, and English. And I'm not familiar with Pinyin.
Yeah, Pinyin. What exactly? Oh, okay. Pinyin is a system to transcribe Mandarin into a Latin alphabet.
Okay.
So it helps as if you're looking to pronounce phonetically.
So just what a great way to expose children to hearing different languages.
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful. And so there's several of the books over there, but I wanted to bring a couple and let people know we have those in our collection.
Wonderful. Yeah, translation does tie into, like I mentioned, this translation of the tablets that I read is a little bit different from the one that makes the rounds on the internet. Like the one that you see on the internet includes the phrase enemy territory. And Leemans says that in the context probably just means foreign country.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Changes the whole meaning
Absolutely.
of it. It implies something.
Right.
Okay, this is from Neil McGregor, director of the British Museum, as of when this was published, A History of the World in 100 Objects.
Ooh, this looks cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. From the hand axe to the credit card is the subtitle. It's pretty thick. It goes over things like the Sutton Hoo helmet, the flood tablet, the Minoan bull leaper.
Does it include pictures of these items?
I think there's some plates. Yeah, there's some plates in here. Ooh, color too.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is in our adult nonfiction section as well. And the last one I got, this is fun. The Great Book of Archaeology. This is not an academic text. It's like a big,
giant coffee table book.
Yeah, this is the coffee tablest of coffee table books. It's got lots of big.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, full color pictures of artifacts, and
is it only pictures or is there text too?
There's text. It's got like. There we go.
Oh, okay.
It's not a DK, but it's got kind of a DK vibe.
Yes, it does. DK for adults.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's fun. It's got a lot of great stuff in there. So yeah, take it home, put it on your coffee table for a while. And that's what I got for Reader's Advisory.
Yeah, it's fun every now and then to pause and look back. We can learn a lot when we reflect on the future. Not on the future, reflect on the past and apply it to the future.
Mm-hmm. Just give the copper to Nana.
Come on, he's still waiting.
All right, talk to you all next week.
Bye-bye.
The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Denise Marsh and Harrison Baker. Editing and original music by Harrison Baker. That's me. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of the organizations they represent. Good night.